This is a channeling about channeling, which is one of the most frequently asked questions I receive. How do I take these videos with no script and with no prior preparation? And is this something that anybody could learn how to do? And are we channelers by nature? The answer to this is a clear yes. All of us are channels. And the only thing that we need to learn how to do to become active channelers in our day-to-day life is we need to learn to become as one with the channeled information. We must learn how to surrender our mind's control over everything we are constantly thinking and want to be expressing, and learn to relinquish some of that control and become as one with the higher consciousness that is actively orienting us towards new perspectives and new paths that actually lead us back to our souls. In order to channel, we must learn to unify with the stream of consciousness, because that is what the channeling process entails. It is only by releasing the grip of your own brain over everything that you are perceiving and want to be thinking that you can learn how to become the flow of information that is coming through you. And interestingly enough, you may start to feel that intuition is always there. You always have the ability to tap into the answers and the solutions you are seeking when you stop trying to look for them externally to you. You have the intrinsic ability to find everything that you are seeking because the entire universal database is at your fingertips, so to speak. By becoming the antenna, you can tune your radio station of your brain to the channel that allows you to access higher consciousness. And it is by doing this act of surrendering that you can get there. Now, why is it so difficult to surrender? Because many of us do not realize the immense power that we have. The power that we have to think outside the box and to access the answers we are seeking simply by letting go of everything that is keeping us away from them. The resistance that our mind creates is immense. We're constantly filtering through reality based on our fears, conditioning biases, opinions of other people, self-judgment, and all kinds of inner criticism that prevents us from realizing we have the ability to know everything that we need to in order to move forward in alignment with our higher self. In fact, our higher self is always guiding our journey. Through every intuitive hit that we receive, there is inner guidance to be recognized. Through every soft whisper of our heart and our gut, through every instinctual pull, and through every little urge and desire that we get, there is an intuitive meaning behind that. But do we listen to it? More often than not, the answer is no. Our brain has this desire to constantly be in control and to have a grip over everything and everyone because it's looking at things through its fixed perspective. But what happens when we let go of this desire to constantly look at things in our own way and we just become the witness of this entire experience? All of a sudden, you have this infinite ability to readjust and realign. You can become the perspective of anyone or anything if you choose to drop into the state of the observer of consciousness and you start empathizing with the perspectives of other people. You can actually start channeling the insight of other great minds, of different people, of animals, of nature, of all kinds of different elements by tuning into their consciousness, which you can actively do. There is great wisdom to be found in empathizing with anyone or anything else outside of you. And what that requires is embodying the state of the no mind, choosing to not be yourself, your ego, and your fixed position on everyone and everything around you, but to just let go and to perceive in a different way. Through that, you can truly discover the definition of oneness. And when we can come to appreciate unity consciousness and the power of seeing things through another perspective, channeling becomes a breeze. Because when you understand that your mind is just a limited system, allowing you to respond to events based on your own conditioning, your own programming, and your own fears, which you try to mitigate through always trying to think and observe and react in a particular way, you can drop into this state of just allowing the differences to emanate in your world. The different perspectives, the different thoughts, the different viewpoints, and allow yourself to be more fluidly aligned with the new reality in which you are flowing in tandem with your higher self. So how can we connect to our higher self? Well, I want you to realize that the higher self is always connected to you. You can always communicate with your higher self, and it's always communicating with you. You may just not realize it. Very often, the first reaction that we get in any given situation is the soft cry of our intuition telling us that something is either aligned with us or not. If you feel like you are in resistance to a particular thing or situation, there is a reason why the resistance is present. In fact, every feeling that we have is important and it's meant to be there. But we need to analyze from the place of that observer of consciousness in order to understand why that feeling is present. If we tune into our intuition more than our mind, we will actually start to understand why it is that we feel the way that we do, and why every feeling is encouraging us to reorient ourselves with that state of alignment. At the end of the day, every single download, intuitive hit, piece of information, and consciousness feedback that we receive is all meant to bring us back to our center. It's meant to give us the validation that we need in order to make the right choices and decisions in order to come back to who we are and to this state of balance. If we listen to the voice of our intuition, we will find that we need to make these adjustments. But if we don't want to, we start silencing our intuition. So this is the choice that each of us has to make. Are we going to choose to stay locked up in our ego and to exert our willpower to drown out the voice of our intuition, or instead are we going to choose to surrender to it? Are we going to choose to befriend our higher self and learn to act in accordance with its insight that it's constantly sharing with us? Or instead, are we just going to live in denial? The ego wants us to believe that it is always right and that trusting our intuition is the unsafe thing to do, because the ego is the loner that wants to prove its righteousness, and it wants to help you stay locked up in your own identity without expanding past the limits of your mind. But if instead you choose to walk the route of higher consciousness, if you want to choose evolution, growth, love, expansion, and truly being as one with your higher self's potential, you must choose to surrender to your intuition. You must choose to listen actively to the inner urges and to do everything that is in alignment with your expansion. Doing so could feel like a leap outside of your comfort zone, but doing so is also the only thing that can unlock your ability to transcend everything that keeps you locked up to who you don't want to be any longer. The reason why I preface this video with this talk about personal development is because personal development and understanding yourself is the most critical aspect of unlocking your ability to become a channel. Because you must learn how to become this vehicle of consciousness in order to channel in any moment of time. To channel is to really know who you are. It's to find the frequency within you that resonates with your soul. And it's when you can come home to yourself that you can easily access the universal stream of consciousness at any time and anywhere. When I channel, I go into this state of being with my heart and just allowing myself to receive and become an open vessel of information. I no longer in this moment want to think, reason, or try to strategize the way that I want to approach this moment of transmission. Instead, I choose to let go of even my own identity and lose myself in this process of sharing what wants to come through to the world. Doing so feels like a beautiful process, and when you are done channeling, you feel this great boost of energy, because through channeling, you're actually receiving energy. You're receiving the ability to stay motivated through this process of sharing. All of us are vessels of information, and we all have something to share with the world. And when we can do this, we can feel this beautiful alignment with our own souls and feel the necessary validation because we are actually doing this in alignment with our higher selves. There are many ways that we can channel, and a great place to begin is just by observing your own self and channeling the inner dialogue that exists within you. You can start channeling any resistance that you have within you to better understand yourself and the pent-up emotions that you're harboring. For example, if you feel some kind of a pain within your body, instead of trying to reject that pain, you can move into a state of acceptance by choosing to channel what that pain is trying to tell you, because everything has a message behind it. And everything within your body is attached to a certain consciousness, whether it be attached to an emotion or an organ that wants to reveal the bigger picture to you. If you choose to come into alignment with that information, you start channeling that new perspective that you must integrate in order to come into the fuller embodiment of your own truth. For example, if your heart is telling you something that you want to listen to, but you're not sure how, start channeling what it's actually saying. Take a piece of paper and start writing down what is coming to you and through you. Start channeling without even thinking what you want to share or how you want it to come out. Just become that transmission of energy. And as you allow it to pour through you, you're going to feel an immense relief because of the release that you're allowing to pour through your conscious connection. When I started channeling, I did it through writing. I allowed myself to just bring this information out of me, and I did it without thinking what is going to come of it. You don't channel because you want to achieve a particular outcome. You do it just by allowing yourself to become this stream of information. So when you first channel, you may feel this sense of you're not really sure what to do or how it's going to come out. You may feel like this uncertainty is actually blocking your ability to channel. And this is exactly what you need to transcend. To channel is to take the leap of faith into the unknown. It's to merge with the void, and within that void, or this tunnel of consciousness, you actually start to see the light. And that information comes through you as you choose to surrender to the darkness, and you let that consume all of your fears. In the spiritual community, many people say they're channeling some archangels, some guides, some spirit animals, ascended masters, any kinds of beings, entities, or even extraterrestrials? Well, there's a lot of different definitions that people provide for the channeling process. And there's a very important difference that I want to emphasize between channeling from an imaginative state and channeling from your own heart and soul. Some people channel thinking that they can connect to some being or some entity purely by thinking that that connection is present. Essentially, what the channeling process allows you to do is to connect to the frequency or the vibration of whatever other entity or being you want to be channeling. Some people do have a connection with these higher dimensional sources. They have the ability to communicate with them. But in many cases, when we're channeling, we're actually just channeling our higher selves. And in some cases, people are channeling actually their own imagination, but thinking that they're channeling an external source. This is where I feel it's important to stress that channeling need not be a way for you to validate your own assumptions about reality. These channelings are not of such a high frequency nature. If you really get attuned to the high frequency language of the universe, you will know whether or not to trust in these channelings. You'll be able to pick up from the energy of some people who claim to be channeling whether or not they actually are. Imagination does not come with the same frequency that a true divine channeling does, because channelings are really produced when you are taking in information which is foreign to you. It does not sound like the person genuinely coming up with that information when they channel. Each channeling is a gift from the universe. It's a gift of consciousness which you don't even have the ability to reason through when you are receiving it. This is why when a lot of people come up with some artwork, poetry, invention, creation, anything that is channeled in the moment, you may not know how you even came up with that thing. It may seem like your actual sense of self has no idea how to replicate the information that came through you because you were so surrendered to the process of receiving it. This is when you know that you're really channeling. This is when you can realize how to trust yourself even more to keep receiving that valuable feedback which comes through when you choose to be completely surrendered to the process. One of the most important things that you can do to maintain your position as a channeler is you can start surrendering now in every way in order to pacify fear and to allow new perspectives into your world. You can start asking questions, giving your own being the ability to answer, not from your mind, but from a deep place of inner knowing. You can drop into your heart and start feeling more intrinsically what is the truth that you want to experience versus what is your mind trying to grasp onto in order to enable its sense of superiority. If you want to live more openly, more creatively, more intuitively, more fluidly, and more harmoniously with your own being, you must choose to allow yourself to be part of this flow. You must also see that everything happening to you is naturally part of what needs to happen in order for you to learn to become more in tune with the universe at large and with your higher self. Nothing is coincidental, and nothing is actually happening against you. But you, just like if you choose to drown out your intuition, have the ability to not see the need for alignment. You may choose to see that everything is actually occurring in a way that alters your alignment and fragments you away from your consciousness, and this is only because you choose to maintain this position of resistance. To dissolve the resistance, what you need to do is to smile back at your intuition. You must learn to be honed into every sensation that comes up which is foreign to you and to be curious. You must learn to want to listen to everything that comes as a surprise, as an invitation to think differently and to creatively reason through some of life's difficulties. Because chances are the answers are already ready for your recognition. The intuition has already told you everything that you need to know. You already know everything that will take you back home and into the truth of who you are. The question is, will you listen to it? Or will you continue to live in this illusion that you are not a channel, that you are not a vessel of consciousness, and that you do not know the truth that you need to know? The answers are always with you, and you have the ability to tune into them, but you must realize that you are not actively creating these thoughts because you're a non-local receiver, and you are simply consciousness embodied in flesh and skin. So with that, realize that you are here to tune into the highest frequency you can, and with that channel everything that you need to bring you into more of the truth.